My wife has more income and a huge inheritance, while I'm going into debt. Is it fair? I'm mid-40s and a doctor. I work shifts and get paid per shift. I'm married and have 3 kids in financial difficulty. My wife is a researcher, PI, so she works all the time, often at home, but is salaried. We have 3 small kids all under 6 years old. We own a house in a high cost of living city and have a large mortgage. We have a live-in nanny during the week and a live-out nanny on weekends. We have been together for 8 years, married for 7 years, and have 3 kids, so we moved pretty quickly. She took 3 mat leaves and has been increasingly concerned about her work productivity, lack of published papers, so she has been frustrated and resentful and wanting to focus on work. We have a joint account where we each are supposed to put in $5,000 per month to cover mortgage, house utilities, property taxes, and daycare. Rest of expenses I have often just paid for out of pocket, i.e. groceries, eating out. I figured I earn more so can afford to spend more. Wife spends her money on whatever she wants. Since the 3rd kid, I've been cutting back my shifts each year to take on more childcare duties and look after the household due to wife's increasing desire to work. For the past 2 years, my income has fallen about 40 to 50% because I work less. Most of my shifts fall into the evening/night time, so it leaves the kids with her alone, once nanny goes off duty, and she finds it stressful, so I try to be home more to help out and avoid her being left alone with 3 kids. I also take care of organizing dinner meals for the family 95% of the time. I pay for 90% of groceries, meals out, 100% of car repairs, gas, home internet. She buys kid clothes and I'm not sure what else. For the past 3 years I've been complaining to her that I can't keep up financially and cannot continue to pay for most day-to-day expenses on my own. I'm incorporated and so pay myself a salary based on what I spend, then leave the remainder in my corporation so it builds over time and acts as a retirement vehicle. Typically I add about $60K, $80K per year into the corp. This represents long-term savings for me. Income is around $260,000 to $280,000. Last year I dropped to $200,000 by cutting back, and my accountant said I broke even last year with no money saved. This year I'm around $180,000 and my accountant says I'm going to need to create a shareholder loan and owe my corporation $50,000, which will double to $100,000 by end of 2024 if things continue. I'm stressed to be spending far more than I earn and essentially taking a loan from my corporation to pay for household expenses. My wife has been saying for years that she can't help rebalance our finances because she hasn't done her taxes and therefore doesn't know what her income is. I've been estimating that she makes about $180,000 but have no way to check this. She hasn't done her taxes in 4 years and me nagging about money just leads to a fight. I often have to nag her about paying into the joint account. She has also received a large gift from her mom, pre-death inheritance/gift, to the tune of $6 million, which she invests and keeps separate. I have no anticipated inheritance from my family. Finally, she did her 2022 taxes last year and disclosed to me that her income was $400,000 plus, about half was from investment income from her mother's gift. This was a big surprise to me, because it turns out she earns 2x plus more than I do. Her taxes for 2020-2021 are still pending. Wife keeps the inheritance and its invested earnings separate from our other finances. I haven't seen all the statements, but currently estimate from what I've seen that it's up to $9 million with repeated gifts from her mother. I'm feeling increasingly frustrated that our financial spending is inequitable and now I've become the smaller fish and still continue to pay for most household expenses. Her mother has put money into our joint account on her own and I've used this in the past year to pay my outstanding income tax, $20,000, and will need it again for this year's taxes, $50,000. I don't like doing this but see little option as my wife still doesn't seem to want to rebalance our expenses. But my income has fallen 40% to 50% in the past 2 years and wife doesn't seem willing to sit down with me and figure out a more equitable solution. She tends to get overwhelmed and leave/end the conversation upset. We decided in September 2023 that she would get a joint credit card to put family expenses on, but she hasn't done it, saying she's too busy. We talked about using her mom's money to pay down the mortgage, but wife doesn't want to do that because she said, "That's me basically giving you half the value of the house." She has sent me some transfers this year when I've asked, but understands that I'm going into debt while her inherited assets are potentially growing astronomically, a 5% return on $9 million, potentially $450,000, is higher than both our employment incomes combined. Her mother has told me not to worry about money, but I've told her that the money she has given us isn't being used and that I'm financially short. She has offered to take my personal bank account and deposit money directly into my personal bank account, which is a tough situation for me because I've been financially independent for 15 years and feel like I wouldn't be having this issue if my wife was more transparent and collaborative. Would you take her mother's money directly? I've discussed it with my wife and she's okay with it, but I still have hesitation. Thanks for your thoughts.